Okay, this is Channel 12.
KBDI Colorado Public Television is proud to present.
This is viewer-sponsored public television serving the Front Range, KBDI TV 12, Broomfield, Colorado.
KBDI Television is proud to present Colorado Inside Out, keeping our ever-watchful beady eye on politics and politicians. Brought to you by Crosley, Ultra Fidelity TV.
A whole new concept of television. Crosley Ultra Fidelity TV with family theater screen. Cabinets styled to match the beauty of your home. Wide-angle viewing screen to avoid furniture shifting. You see clear, undistorted pictures from any viewing angle. Crosley brings you sharp, steady pictures, full, rich tone. There's simplified control, built-in antenna, everything to provide the finest television entertainment for the whole family.
Available at Fred Schmidt Appliances. And now, Colorado Inside Out.
Good evening and welcome to Colorado Inside Out. Our long-running radio program is now here on KBDI Television, bringing you analysis of all the important events from Colorado and the world. I'm your host, Perry Allen. Let's introduce our panel. Starting on my immediate left, the lovely Miss Ethel Merman, star of Stage and Screen and a new resident of Denver. Also,
hello, Mr. Allen.
Also with us, Al Nakula, a reporter from the Rocky Mountain News.
Thank you.
Next to Mr. Nakula, Lois Waddell, a sociology professor at the University of Denver. And rounding out our panel today, Cecil Kopelwitz, city editor of the Walsenburg World Independent.
Thank you.
Let's begin with a quick thought on President Truman's decision to fire General Douglas MacArthur just 6 months after the miraculous amphibious landings at Incheon, Korea, perhaps the high point of the general's storied career. He is fired for insubordination after making public his disagreements with the president over the handling of the war. Wisconsin Senator Joseph McCarthy has called for the impeachment of Mr. Truman. Ms. Merman, did the president make the right choice?
Well, you know, my favorite war hero was not MacArthur, but Ike. Loved Ike, had a song about him, I Like Ike, and the show that just ended on Broadway in 1951, Call Me Madam. Here's what you learn in showbiz. You do what the director says. Sure, you bring the people, put them in the audience, but you have to do what the director says. He didn't obey what the president wanted. He had to go.
Mr. Nakula, it's a good point. We have a chain of command in this country. Everybody has to follow it, even this great general.
That's exactly right, and Ms. Merman is absolutely correct, and who wouldn't follow her advice on such matters? The fact is, under our Constitution, President is Commander-in-Chief, everyone follows his direction, and if General MacArthur doesn't like it, then he needs to be out. Absolutely.
Ms. Waddell, your thoughts?
You know, I spend so much time in academia. I just want to tell Ms. Merman, I really loved you in Annie Get Your Gun.
Oh,
I
thank
taught
you,
it
honey.
in New York.
Thank you,
yes,
honey.
Yes,
Great.
I'm just honored to be here. But back to General MacArthur. Oh my goodness, the man is starting to resemble the communists he says he hates. We have a constitution that says all military officers are under the command of the commander-in-chief. I just cannot believe he would go public with his comments. Worse, what did General MacArthur wanted to do? He wanted to bomb China. For goodness sake, this, this war against the Soviet Union, against all these communists are going to get us all killed.
Mr. Kopelwitz, even if the general had a fair point to argue, putting it out there in the public space makes a lot of people cringe. I think there's a reason we don't have military coups in this country, and it's because people fall in line when they're supposed to.
Well, as the Denver Post said, right after Truman fired MacArthur, when all the rest of the country was in hysterics with his cult of personality, that MacArthur was guilty of dangerous insubordination. The president, with the support of we have 13 allies fighting with the UN command in Korea, and they all wanted to open up peace negotiations with the Red Chinese. Truman started doing that, and then MacArthur sabotaged it. You have to have whether MacArthur's right or Truman's right on this, you have to follow the chain of command. But you also have to say that Harry Truman is not the kind of communicator with the American people that Franklin Roosevelt was. And I think if Roosevelt had done it, the people would have accepted it a lot more readily.
Fair enough. That was our quick take. Let's get the show started. Topic 1. Since the conflict in Korea began last year, Americans have learned a new geography as battles raged at Pusan, Incheon, and Chosin Reservoir. Seoul, Korea has changed hands 4 times over the past year. UN forces currently control the city, and the battle with the Chinese and North Korean communists is now focused along the 38th parallel. Here at home, Senator Joseph McCarthy's war against communism has been reinforced by the trial of Julius and Ethel Rosenberg. Despite an ongoing battle with popular radio host Drew Pearson, many of the senator's opponents suffered defeat in the 1950 elections. What other developments can we expect in our nation's efforts to stem the red tide? Ms. Merman.
Well, you know, as Americans, we all have to pull together. We have to pull together, but this witch hunt that has been launched against many of this country's entertainers, it's shameful. It's shameful. Senator McCarthy must stop it. One of our best screenwriters here, Dalton Trumbo, I believe he's from Colorado, born here, unlike me, just moved here with my new husband. But it must stop. Now, no one wants to listen to us, entertainers, actresses, performers, about current events. They want to be entertained. There's no business like show business, like no business I know.
Oh, yeah.
That's just a taste, but I just want to keep things in perspective. I support our boys in Korea, and I hope for the best for them. And Mr. McCarthy, I'll be happy to see him go.
That was a great song, Ms. Merman. Mr. Nakula, let's talk about this rising tide of communism in this country. At what point should we be alarmed about it?
I think we ought to be alarmed right now, frankly, with what Senator McCarthy is doing. He's playing a game of 6 degrees of Joseph Stalin. And if we keep looking through the fabric of our American society and suspecting communists under every bedsheet and in every closet, we're going to end up alienating our own people and turning them against the battle, which is for freedom and for democracy. And I think that's where we have to have our highest safeguards in place, frankly.
Ms. Waddell, in my hometown, we have a professor who has just lost his job over his involvement with the Communist Party. And I have to say, Boulder is a quiet, somewhat conservative town, and not a lot of people are upset about that right now.
I have to tell you, I find myself to be, it seems like I'm in a time warp. We're actually doing duck and cover drills at the University of Denver, worried about having an atomic bomb dropped on our heads, and at the same time we're having to sign loyalty oaths. I'm quite aware of what happened at the University of Colorado Boulder. So we're signing loyalty oaths, and then we're hiding under our desk along with our students. I suspect we're going to get a lot more of that. And the focus is going to be so much on Colorado with the Denver Post, Palmer Hoyt, the editor and publisher, and now our governor, Dan Thornton, with their key roles in the crusade for freedom. This propaganda move to fund Radio Free Europe and spread the truth about democracy and the truth about communism. I suspect I'm going to be hiding under my desk a hell of a lot. Oh, excuse me, could I say hell?
No.
Sure, right?
Mr.
Thank you,
Kopel,
Ms. Merman.
I feel like I'm the only one who has some concern here about the rising tide of communism in this country, and I just want to perhaps get a bit of a reality check here. We are at war, and there are communists in the United States. These are people who perhaps may be spying for the Soviet Union. We have convicted Julius and Ethel Rosenberg and have sentenced them to death for spying. Why shouldn't we be worried about this?
Of course we should be worried. They sold the atomic secret to Stalin. Alger Hiss at the State Department was another communist Soviet red agent, sold out this country. And President Roosevelt was a great president in a lot of ways about being vigilant against the fascist threat, but he was totally blind about communist infiltration into the U.S. government, and that's, I think, President Truman's done the right thing to set up the loyalty board, United States Loyalty Board, to start rooting the communists out of the United States government. Dalton Trumbo was a propagandist for the Reds, and good riddance to him. But McCarthy is a terrible, terrible man, just a gutter snipe, and he gives. Richard Nixon was the guy who got Alger Hiss, that lawyer is now the United States Senator from California. He did a serious investigation. McCarthy's just a bunch of hot air who claims he has a big list and never can produce anything about it. And, you know, in the 1950 election, Millard Tydings, the Democratic senator from Maryland, had a Senate hearing where he brought in Earl Browder, the head of the Communist Party USA, and really gave him heck during that hearings. And then at the end of the hearings, because Tidings is a gentleman, he said, "Thank you, sir." McCarthy puts out this ad against Tidings, this pamphlet, as if making a composite photo of Senator Tidings and Communist Browder together, and then with the words "Thank you, sir," as if Tidings approved of what this commie was saying. McCarthy's got nothing to add to this country.
Ma'am.
Mr. Allen, could I interject here?
Absolutely.
You know, in sociological terms, this is hysteria. It is mass hysteria. And I predict that these entertainers that Ms. Merman refers to, and some of my colleagues in academia, in 10, 20, 30 years' time, they will be lionized. They will be lionized for standing up to the mass hysteria. What good is fighting communism if you become totalitarian during the fight? I predict they will have fountains named after them. They will have buildings named after them.
So you probably thought it would be okay to have some Nazi sympathizers working at the University of Colorado, too. What's the difference between a communist and a Nazi? Why should either one of them be working on the state payroll?
Excuse me, the communists were our allies against the Nazis.
Well,
what's the problem now?
Well, as Harry Truman said when Hitler invaded, he said, "I hope the Germans kill a lot of Russians and the Russians kill a lot of Germans." You sometimes have to be an ally with a bad guy to defeat the other bad guy, but they're all bad.
Part of the hysteria in this country.
Okay, a very thought-provoking conversation. Let's move on to topic 2. This year, after the Soviet Union conducted its third atomic test, Joseph Stalin finally acknowledged the Russian bomb. A recent Newsweek article and some government officials are advocating moving some federal government agencies to Denver. The move would ensure that some of our governmental infrastructure would survive in the event of a nuclear attack on Washington, D.C. Are the jobs this could bring to our city worth the risk of becoming the target of a Soviet missile strike? Sir.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mr. Allen. First of all, the state of Russian rocketry is such that they'd have to stage these missiles in Scottsbluff and fuel them with their vodka to reach Denver. So I think we're doing okay on that regard. Secondly,
but sir, isn't that just a matter of time? They've obviously developed the technology to explode a bomb. It's only a matter of time before they can bring it here.
We are in the center of the North American continent. We are 1,000 miles at least from either ocean. We are thousands of miles over the pole from Russia. And I don't think you'll ever see the day where they can launch one of those toys over the pole and reach the city of Denver. Just don't see it happening. But I do think that it's very smart of Washington to bring those jobs here and to ensure that what you can reach from the coasts and where the Russians might be able to launch ship-based or sub-based missiles on coastal cities, I do think it's a smart move to bring them out here. Not only that, but our defense industry is coming out here. We have just started construction, I think, last year on the Rocky Flats, what they're calling Rocky Flats with Dow Chemical, and they're going to be participating in producing our weapons that we will use to defend this country. We will come up with that rocketry, and we will use that as our victory in this Cold War.
Well, let's hope we can get ours overseas. Ms. Waddell, let me ask you this. Mr. Nakula has a bit of an old world view, I think, about technology. I think in 15 to 20 years, we may be launching rockets to the moon. Who knows? But let me ask you this. Should we take the Russians seriously at this point? They've demonstrated their willingness and ability to march into this arms race with us. What should we do about it?
This is part of the hysteria, and I'm going to tell you that military business is big business. It's not only this proposed new arsenal. I believe there's this company, the Glenn Martin company, one of the largest defense contractors in the country, may indeed be relocating here in one of Denver's suburbs. Military business is big business, and I believe the powers that be in Washington, D.C. look out over the West and they see this massive desert that's just waiting to be populated by their big business. So I think that train has already left the station, Mr.
Koplowitz, where do you think these military installations would go, and would that make us essentially a target in the middle of this country?
Well, I think the whole country is going to be a target eventually, and Mr. Nakula is probably right about missiles, but I also agree with you that if you look at how far airplanes have come over the past quarter century, missiles will probably catch up. And besides that, the Russians have bombers too. And just as airplanes keep on improving, they'll have long-range bombers that could probably reach the United States, maybe get through our radar. And that's, by the way, why it's very important that we make sure that there's never a red takeover anywhere in the Western Hemisphere. Because if you can imagine if Mexico or Jamaica or a country like that became a place where the Soviets could base, they could attack our country in minutes and no warning at all. I'm glad we're going to move the part of the government out here. It's part of dispersing things. When you're too centralized, then you're more vulnerable. One of the reasons when the British burned down Washington in the War of 1812, the country didn't fall apart because the country wasn't all governed entirely from Washington. We had dispersed power and authority. And so this is following the same wise policy as James Madison, another great Democratic president like Harry Truman.
Okay, let's continue this great discussion with topic 3.
Excuse me?
Oh.
Mr. Allen?
My apologies, Ms. Merman.
Only bring it up now because, as you know, my husband, Robert Six, is the president of Continental Airlines. Brought that headquarters to here. I know exactly how much air travel has improved. It's one of the few topics I really do know about. And I say, bring as much industry here as you can. Bring as much government. My career's been on both coasts. It's very easy to get from one side to the other. No one is going to be safe from those rockets sometime, but in the meantime, Denver can use the business. We can use that Rocky Flats. We can use the arsenal. It's right down by Stapleton Airport, right by my husband's headquarters. No problem.
Well, that's an important thought to end on. Let's move to topic 3. This year, our nation began a series of atmospheric nuclear tests in the Nevada deserts west of our state. Some of these will be televised to help inform viewers of the incredible power of our armed forces that they now control. Now that Russia has the bomb, preparing the public for possible nuclear confrontation has become the newest task our lawmakers face. Even our children must be prepared for the worst. We have an important short film from the government just released to inform citizens on what to do in the event of an attack. Let's take a look now.
He did what we all must learn to do. You and you and you and you. Duck and cover.
Be sure and remember what Bert the Turtle just did, friends, because every one of us must remember to do the same thing. That's what this film is all about. Duck and cover. We all know the atomic bomb is very dangerous. First, you have to know what happens when an atomic bomb explodes. You will know when it comes. We hope it never comes, but we must get ready. It looks something like this. There is a bright flash, brighter than the sun, brighter than anything you've ever seen. Now, you and I don't have shells to crawl into like Bert the Turtle, so we have to cover up in our own way. First, you duck, and then you cover. You may be in your schoolyard playing when the signal comes. That signal means to stop whatever you are doing and get to the nearest safe place fast. You might be eating your lunch when the flash comes. Duck and cover under the table. The bomb might explode when there are no grown-ups near. Paul and Patty know this. They always try to remember what to do if the atom bomb explodes right then. It's a bomb. Duck and cover. Tony knows the bomb can explode any time of the year, day or night. He is ready for it. Duck and cover. Sundays, holidays, vacation time. We must be ready every day, all the time, to do the right thing if the atomic bomb explodes. Duck and cover. This family knows what to do, just as your own family should. They know that even a thin cloth helps protect them. Even a newspaper can save you from a bad burn. Yes, we must all get ready now, so we know how to save ourselves if the atomic bomb ever explodes near us.
What are you supposed to do when you see the flash?
Well, that's frightening stuff. Miss Waddell, anything we can learn from this?
Well, I think this is Exhibit A in this mass hysteria I'm talking about. I think I spoke earlier about having to duck and cover at the University of Denver, and I have 2 children in Denver public schools are having to duck and cover. Isn't that a bit silly? Can you imagine who would that have saved at Hiroshima or Nagasaki? This is just absolutely bizarre, and I cannot believe what's next. Are they going to start telling us to tape our windows to keep atomic particles out of our living rooms and our kitchens? For goodness sake, I think we need to inform ourselves and realize this stuff is dangerous, and we're really probably not going to be effectively. The only way to protect ourselves is to sit down at the table with the Soviets and negotiate, because this duck and cover stuff is hokum.
Mr. Koplowitz, why would the government be putting this information out if there wasn't some value to it?
Of course it's very valuable, and it's a sort of a shorter version of that great long film that Chet Huntley produced or narrated last year, Pattern for Survival. The fact is, of course, if you're right where an atomic blast hits, that you're going to die there, of course, but the blast radiates for many miles. And so what if someone is 5 miles away or 10 or 20 miles away? You want to give them every opportunity they have to protect themselves. We have a big advantage over those paper-thin houses they lived in Japan. We have stronger buildings where people can shield themselves and protect themselves. Now, who knows whether it's a mile away or 20 miles away, but whatever it is, civil defense makes sense. Do you think the British during World War II, when Hitler, basically the same thing as Stalin except with a smaller mustache, was bombing them, they told the children, oh, there's nothing you can do, we just have to negotiate with Hitler? You just want to negotiate with Stalin? The only negotiation you can have with him is surrender. You can rule the world and make us all slaves and put us in a new dark age. I'd rather try to survive and be free.
Ms. Merman, my understanding is that these explosions that have been happening out in the desert have been happening with soldiers actually witnessing, standing in foxholes not that far away, not much in the way of protective gear. They seem to be withstanding it just fine.
All our government scientists are on this. I can't believe they'd endanger our boys. I hate to disagree with you, Mrs. Waddell, but I moved here. I'm playing my hardest role ever, Denver housewife. I have 2 children in school. We bought a mansion down in Cherry Hills, 27 rooms. One of them is a bomb shelter. And I have taught my children, better be safe than sorry. They know how to duck. They know how to cover. I would advise you to do the same with your children.
Mr. Nakula, should we be preparing for a time in this country when we're all running to our bomb shelters?
Well, absolutely. And I think that this duck and cover drill, probably the best benefit of it is when the radiation clears sufficiently that the people can come in and clean up the damage. All the bodies will at least be neatly arranged.
All right. Let's move on to our next topic. Topic 4, let's get a very quick take on this topic. 4 years ago, Quig Newton became the youngest mayor in Denver history, elected this year for his second term. The mayor has begun ambitious efforts to stimulate growth in our region. A new downtown library is underway, and plans for a new municipal auditorium at the stockyards are nearing completion. Construction of the Valley Highway has begun with interchanges at 46th and 58th Streets in North Denver. There's also talk of ending the 12-story building height restrictions in place since the days of Mayor Spear. How will the young mayor's bold plan to bring change in our city impact our economy and our citizens? Mr. Kopel.
Well, we shouldn't have any restriction on building height. New York and Chicago and San Francisco didn't get to be great cities by saying you can only build up to 12 stories. But I think one thing Mr. Mayor Newton's doing that's very important is trying to do something about race relations. I was just reading this book, The God That Failed, published 2 years ago in '49, but now in paperback, so I can afford it. Richard Wright, the great Negro writer, became a communist not because he really was thinking about economics, but because the communists were the only ones that were talking about racial fairness, and then he left him. But we need to, fighting communism includes having racial fairness in this country.
Ms. Merman, your thoughts?
Well, racial fairness, if you got talent, it will out, and that's what we've learned. But I want to talk about Denver. Enjoy this city. Everyone has been so friendly. Love it. It's a great town to live in. Bobby and I are trying to bring people here. Fly on Continental, please. But we're having a great time, and I invite you all to come out and see me at Red Rocks. I'll be singing with the Denver Symphony Orchestra.
That sounds fantastic. Mr. Nakula.
I think Mayor Newton is a progressive mayor for a progressive city in a progressive time. And I think it's a pleasant change, and happily he was reelected.
Last word, Ms. Waddell.
Oh my goodness, what a breath of fresh air to get rid of that old ex-Klansman Ben Stapleton and have a young Navy veteran. And what is your name, sir? Mr. Kopelwitz is absolutely right. The one weapon that the Soviets have been able to use better than any other weapon against the United States in this new angry war that's a war of words that's going on is the racism that exists in this country. So hats off off to Mayor Quig Newton and his Commission on Human Relations. That, in large part, was responsible for the Colorado State Legislature's passage of the first fair employment statute in the state of Colorado just this year.
Well put, Miss Waddell. Let's get on to a fantastic segment called Disgrace of the Week. Miss Merman.
Well, I would like to say, that Joe McCarthy, I have to include him in this disgrace, but also my producer for shutting down my show. Call me madam. Thought it would run forever like Annie Get Your Gun.
All right. Mr. Nakula.
I have to say, I went to a Bears game the other day at that new stadium, just a couple of years old now, but they built it on a dump overlooking the Platte River at Bears Stadium, and it stunk, I gotta tell you. They never should have the game was all right, but they never should have left Merchants Park. They're having a Joslin's down there and a Montgomery Ward's down there now. I don't know. I still like Merchants Park.
All right. Miss Waddell.
Got to roll with the changes. Oh, that Republican State Senator Frank Gill for killing a truly, truly progressive fair employment statute. So we've wound up with this compromise. But shame on you, Senator Gill.
Mr. Koplowitz.
Yeah, Justin Brierley, I know he's this beloved guidance counselor at East High School, but 4 years ago he convinced me to loan some money to two of his little proteges living down on Skid Row on Curtis Street, Neil Cassidy from Denver and his New York friend visiting Jack Kerouac. I loaned them each $50. They never paid me back.
It's the sign of the times, I guess. So we also have another half to this segment. We did the disgrace. Let's do something nice. Ma'am.
Well, I would like to say something nice to you people in the TV audience. I've done Broadway, I've done movies, haven't done much TV. It's a brand new thing. But I want to say good luck to my friend Lucille Ball. She just launched a show. I Love Lucy. We'll see how that goes.
Mr. Nakula.
I'd like to say something nice about Governor Dan Thornton. Off to a great start. Spends a lot of his time out of the state, but he's promoting the state. No one gave him a chance. When Ralph Carr died 6 weeks before the election last year, he got called on by the Republicans, and he pulled it out over Walter Johnson. Off to a great start.
Lois.
Governor Thornton did support the more effective fair employment statute, so hats off to Governor Thornton. But I'd actually say, as a fellow New Yorker, I'd like to say hello and good luck to William Zeckendorf. He is going to be designing something in downtown Denver that should really make downtown something for once.
Mr. Koplowitz, about 30 seconds left.
Iowa Republican Senator Burke B. Hickenlooper for doing a great job of keeping an eye on the Atomic Energy Commission.
That's all the time we have for Colorado Inside Out. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to stay tuned right here on KBDI Television Channel 12 for all the important news and updates from Colorado and the world. For KBDI Television, I'm Perry Allen. Good night.